That badge is fake. Officer Nathan Cole said it with a crooked smile, loud enough for half the station lobby to hear. Alicia Grant did not reach for the credential wallet in his hand. She did not raise her voice. She only looked at him across the front desk and said, "Call the district office and verify it." Cole glanced at the gold seal, then passed the wallet to Officer Brett Lawson like it was a novelty someone had brought in from a costume store. Lawson turned it over between his fingers and gave a quiet laugh. "Deputy United States Marshal," he read. "You came in here alone." Alicia's eyes moved to the clock mounted above the booking window. 9:12. She had 8 minutes. That was the part neither officer understood. She had not walked into the station looking for respect. She had walked in because a license plate connected to fugitive Caleb Mercer had appeared in a local traffic report less than an hour earlier, and she needed confirmation before returning to her surveillance team. At 9:20, she was required to check in. If she missed that check-in, the operation would change automatically. People would start moving. Questions would start being asked. And Alicia had a growing suspicion that someone inside this building might already know far more than they should. "I need my credentials back," she said. Cole leaned against the counter. "Not until I figure out what this is." "You can figure it out by verifying it. Or I can figure it out by asking you questions." Alicia studied him. White male, early 40s, patrol uniform pressed neatly, confidence carried like another piece of equipment. Lawson stood beside him, younger, amused, waiting for Cole to decide what was true. "What office are you assigned to?" Cole asked. "That information can be confirmed through the official contact system." "That is not what I asked. And I am not discussing an active federal matter in a public lobby." Lawson looked toward Cole. "Sounds convenient." Alicia said nothing. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead. A printer clicked somewhere behind the reception desk. 2 officers farther down the hall had stopped talking and were now watching. Alicia felt the humiliation clearly, but she refused to perform it for them. Her attention returned to the clock. 9:13. 7 minutes. "You are wasting time," she said. Cole smiled again. "Whose time?" "Yours, if you keep refusing to verify me." That wiped some of the amusement from his face. "You threatening me?" "No. I am explaining procedure." Cole pushed the credential wallet onto the desk but kept one hand over it. "Real federal officers do not usually walk into my station and start telling me how things work." Alicia's gaze dropped briefly to his hand covering her badge. "Real police officers usually know verification is faster than guessing." The lobby went quiet. Lawson stopped smiling. Cole stared at her for a long second. Then he straightened. "Sit down." Alicia did not move. "I came here to confirm one vehicle record and leave." "You are not leaving until I am satisfied." Alicia looked at the clock again. 9:14. 6 minutes. Then something on the bulletin board behind Cole caught her attention. A printed vehicle description. Gray Ford pickup. Partial plate. Same make, same color, same partial number connected to Caleb Mercer. Alicia's breathing slowed. That information had been restricted when she left the field office 40 minutes earlier. Local distribution was not scheduled until after 10. Yet it was already pinned to the wall of this station. Cole noticed where she was looking and stepped slightly into her line of sight. "Something interesting." Alicia met his eyes. "Who printed that bulletin?" His expression changed. "Only slightly. But enough." "Why?" he asked. Alicia looked once more at the clock. 9:15. 5 minutes left. Suddenly, getting her badge back was no longer the most important reason she needed to stay calm. "Who printed that bulletin?" Alicia asked again, keeping her voice level. Cole glanced over his shoulder at the paper pinned to the board, then back at her. "You seem awfully interested in something that has nothing to do with you." Alicia felt the clock above the booking window pulling at the edge of her attention. 9:15. 5 minutes. "It has everything to do with why I came here." Lawson leaned closer to the bulletin, reading the vehicle description. Gray Ford pickup. Partial plate ending in 74. Alicia watched his face. He did not recognize the significance. Cole did not either, or at least he pretended not to. That bulletin was not supposed to be public yet, Alicia said. Cole folded his arms. According to who? According to the people who issued it. And I am supposed to believe you know that because of this. He tapped her credential wallet with one finger. Alicia looked at the wallet, then at him. You do not have to believe anything. You have to verify. The distinction irritated him again. There it is. Same line. Because you keep avoiding the same step. Lawson gave a quiet sigh and looked toward the desk terminal. Nathan, I can call the federal contact number. Cole turned sharply. No, why not? Because if she is impersonating law enforcement, I want to know how far the story goes. Alicia heard the words and felt something settle inside her. He was no longer trying to determine what was true. He was trying to prove what he had already decided. Officer Cole, she said, what specific fact makes you think I am impersonating anyone? He hesitated. You walked in alone. That is not evidence. You will not answer direct questions. I have answered every question that does not compromise an active matter. You expect us to accept that? I expect you to use the system available to you. Lawson looked at Cole again. She is right about one thing. Verification would settle this. Cole ignored him. Alicia looked at the clock. 9:16. 4 minutes. Somewhere beyond the station walls, her surveillance team would be moving through a planned sequence. At 9:20, if her check-in failed, Supervisory Deputy Marshal James Walker would trigger contingency protocol. Alicia did not know exactly how quickly that would bring attention to the station, but she knew it would not be subtle. She also knew that if there was a leak inside this building, announcing the fugitive operation to everyone in the lobby could destroy the advantage they still had. I need a private room and a supervisor, she said. Cole gave a short laugh. You are in no position to make demands. Alicia's eyes moved toward the bulletin again. The paper had been printed from a standard department template. At the bottom, a small timestamp was visible. 8:47. That was 23 minutes before the federal distribution window had even opened. Her suspicion sharpened. Who has access to restricted bulletins before release, she asked. Lawson stopped smiling entirely. Cole's expression turned colder. Why are you asking about our internal access? Alicia met his eyes. Because whoever printed that page had information they should not have had. The lobby seemed to shrink. An officer down the hall looked up from a report. A civilian clerk near the reception desk stopped typing. Cole stepped closer to the counter. You are making a serious accusation. No, Alicia said. I am identifying a discrepancy. Same thing. Not even close. Lawson looked at the bulletin more carefully now. Nathan, what time did that come through? Cole did not answer. Alicia checked the clock again. 9:17. 3 minutes. Call your supervisor, she said. Now. Cole stared at her, pride and uncertainty fighting behind his eyes. Then he picked up her credential wallet and slid it farther away from her across the desk. You are going to sit down until I decide what happens next. Alicia looked at the wallet, then at the clock. 9:18. 2 minutes. She took one slow breath and sat in the nearest chair without argument. That surprised him. That is it, he asked. Alicia folded her hands in her lap. Yes. Cole frowned. Why? She looked directly at him. Because in 2 minutes, this stops being your decision. The second hand moved past 9:18 while Alicia sat beneath the station's fluorescent lights, hands folded, posture steady, eyes on the clock. Cole remained behind the front desk with her credential wallet just out of reach, trying to decide whether her calm was confidence or performance. Lawson had stopped smiling. He stood near the bulletin board now, studying the printed vehicle notice as if the paper itself had become suspicious. What happens at 9:20? Cole asked. Alicia did not answer immediately. My scheduled check-in expires. With who? My team. What team? The one you refused to verify. Cole gave a short, frustrated breath. You keep talking in circles. No. You keep asking for information you could confirm in less than a minute. Lawson looked toward the desk phone. Nathan, let me make the call. Cole shook his head. Not yet. Alicia watched that decision settle over the room. It was not loud. It did not need to be. One officer farther down the hallway pretended to return to paperwork, but Alicia could still feel his attention. The civilian clerk had stopped typing entirely. On the wall, the clock clicked once. 9:19. 1 minute. Alicia's eyes returned to the bulletin. Gray Ford pickup. Partial plate. Restricted federal intelligence. Printed too early. Whoever had accessed that information either made a mistake or wanted somebody inside this station to see it. She needed to know which. Officer Lawson, Alicia said, who normally prints overnight bulletins. Lawson glanced toward Cole before answering. Dispatch, sometimes records. Depends on the source. Who was working dispatch at 8:47? Cole stepped in. You are done asking questions. Alicia looked at him. Then verify my credentials and I will stop. Sit there. I am sitting. That earned no laugh this time. Cole looked at the clock too. He had heard enough to know the next minute mattered, even if he still refused to admit why. You think someone is coming here? He asked. Alicia's expression barely changed. I think people will notice I missed a required check-in. And what, they rush over because you are late? If they believe something may have happened to a deputy during a fugitive operation, they follow protocol. The word deputy seemed to irritate him again. You are still sticking with that. Alicia looked toward her credential wallet. You still have the easiest way to find out. Lawson finally moved toward the phone. Cole caught the motion. Brett. I am calling the district number. I said wait. Lawson stopped, but this time he did not step back. Why? Cole stared at him. Lawson pointed toward the bulletin board. Because she knew that document was early. She knew before I checked the timestamp. The lobby went still again. Cole looked at the paper, then at Alicia. Maybe she saw something online. Restricted bulletins are not online, Alicia said. Lawson nodded slowly. Cole's certainty flickered, but pride held it together. The second hand reached the top of the clock. 9:20. Alicia lowered her eyes for a moment. Check-in missed. Somewhere outside the building, a silent process had just started. Nothing happened immediately. No alarms. No sirens. No dramatic voice on the radio. Just the same fluorescent hum and the faint rattle of an old air vent above the booking window. Cole looked around, then gave a thin smile. That it? Alicia said nothing. 9:21. Lawson picked up the desk phone before Cole could stop him and started dialing. Cole watched, angry now, but uncertain enough not to interfere. Alicia's attention shifted to the front windows. Through the glass, the parking lot looked ordinary. 2 cruisers. A civilian sedan. A delivery truck across the street. Then, at the far end of the block, a dark government sport utility vehicle turned the corner. Alicia recognized the shape before she saw the plates. A second vehicle appeared behind it. Then a third. They did not use sirens. They did not accelerate. They simply moved toward the station with the calm precision of people who already knew exactly where they were going. Lawson lowered the phone slightly. Nathan. Cole turned toward the windows. The color drained from his face. Alicia remained seated. You asked what happens after 9:20, she said quietly. Now you are about to find out. The 3 government sport utility vehicles entered the station parking lot without sirens, without flashing lights, and without the kind of urgency Cole had expected from people responding to an emergency. That made their arrival feel more serious. Each vehicle stopped with deliberate spacing. Doors opened almost at the same time. Men and women in plain professional clothing stepped out, federal credentials visible only when they approached the entrance. Alicia remained seated beneath the wall clock. 9:22. Cole looked from the Windows to the credential wallet still lying on his desk. Lawson slowly set down the phone. Nathan, I think we should give that back. Cole did not answer. The station door opened. Supervisory Deputy Marshal James Walker entered first, tall, gray at the temples, expression controlled. 2 deputy marshals followed him while several others remained outside near the vehicles. Walker scanned the lobby once. His eyes found Alicia immediately. Deputy Grant. Alicia stood. Sir. Walker looked at her, checking quickly for any sign something had gone wrong. Status. Delayed during local verification. Walker's gaze moved toward Cole. Then toward the black credential wallet on the desk. His expression changed by almost nothing, but the room seemed to feel it. Why is Deputy Grant's credential wallet on your desk? Cole straightened. We were confirming her identity. Walker looked at the wall clock, then at Alicia. By holding her past a mandatory check-in. Cole's voice lost some of its confidence. We had concerns about the badge. Did you contact the district office? Silence. Walker looked toward Lawson. Lawson answered quietly. I tried just before you arrived. Before that? No, sir. Walker returned his attention to Cole. So you doubted federal credentials and chose not to contact the federal agency that could authenticate them. Cole folded his arms. She would not give us details about what she was doing here. Alicia spoke calmly. Because those details involved an active fugitive operation. Walker's eyes narrowed slightly. How much did you disclose? Nothing operational. Good. Cole looked toward the marshals outside. Was all of this necessary because she missed one check-in? Walker faced him. You are assuming we came only because she missed a check-in. Alicia looked toward the bulletin board. She had been waiting for the right moment. James. Walker followed her gaze. Look at the vehicle bulletin. He crossed the lobby and stopped in front of the paper. Alicia watched his eyes move from the description to the timestamp. 8:47. His posture changed. Where did this come from? Lawson answered. I do not know. It was already there. When my shift started. Walker turned toward Alicia. Distribution was scheduled for 10. Exactly. Cole frowned. What difference does 20 minutes make? Alicia looked at him. It is more than an hour early. Walker stepped closer to the bulletin. And this plate information was compartmented until release. The room went silent again. Cole stared at the paper he had barely noticed 15 minutes earlier. Alicia walked toward the board but stopped several feet away. I came here because a traffic record connected that vehicle to Caleb Mercer. I thought I was confirming a lead. Walker looked at her. Now I think I may have walked into the place where the information leaked. Lawson's face changed. You think someone here gave it out? I think someone here received restricted information before they were supposed to. Alicia pointed toward the timestamp without touching the page. Those are different questions. We need evidence before answering either one. Walker nodded. Nobody touches that bulletin. Cole looked toward Alicia. The humiliation he had directed at her minutes earlier had vanished from his expression, replaced by uncertainty. You knew something was wrong when you saw it. Yes. And you still sat there. Alicia met his eyes. Because finding out who had access mattered more than proving you wrong. Walker turned toward one of his deputies. Preserve the lobby cameras, workstation access logs, printer records, and dispatch terminal history. Coordinate with the chief before collecting anything. Cole stepped forward. You cannot just take over our station. Walker looked at him evenly. Nobody is taking over your station. We are preserving evidence connected to a federal fugitive investigation. Then he glanced toward the front windows, where more deputies were quietly taking positions near the entrances without blocking anyone from leaving. And until we know how restricted information arrived here, nobody gets to pretend this is only about a badge anymore. The station changed the moment everyone understood the bulletin mattered. No one laughed now. No one touched Alicia's credential wallet. James Walker stood beside the Bulletin board. While one deputy quietly photographed the timestamp and another spoke with the shift supervisor about preserving digital records. Alicia watched the room instead of the badge. That was where the real story had moved. Cole remained behind the front desk, shoulders stiff, eyes fixed on the federal team as if he were still trying to decide whether their presence was excessive. Lawson looked different. The amusement was gone completely. Who was working dispatch at 8:47? Walker asked. A civilian clerk near the records window looked up. Megan Price was on primary dispatch. Thomas Reed was on secondary. Where are they now? Price left at 9. Reed is still downstairs. Walker nodded. Nobody is accusing anyone. We are identifying access. Alicia appreciated the wording. Facts first. Always facts first. Cole finally picked up her credential wallet, but this time he held it carefully. You want this back? Alicia looked at him. Yes. He extended it across the desk. For several seconds, neither moved. Then Alicia took it and placed it inside her coat. Cole's voice dropped. I thought it looked wrong. You thought that before you checked. It looked too new. Federal credentials get replaced. Cole looked away. You came in alone. Deputies work alone sometimes. You would not answer basic questions. Alicia's expression stayed calm. I would not discuss an active fugitive operation in a public lobby where I did not know who had access to restricted information. Cole glanced toward the bulletin board. The explanation had become harder to dismiss now. I did not know that. You were given a way to find out. Lawson stepped closer. Nathan, she asked us to call. Cole turned toward him. You were standing right there. I know. Lawson's voice was quieter. And I should have made the call sooner. Alicia watched the difference between them. One was still defending the first decision. The other was beginning to examine his own. Walker's phone vibrated. He read the screen and looked toward Alicia. Printer log came back. And the bulletin was printed from dispatch terminal 3 at 8:47. The civilian clerk near records frowned. That terminal is assigned to Price. Cole looked toward the hallway. Megan. Walker raised one hand. Assigned does not mean used. We verify access before we decide anything. Alicia nodded. Camera coverage? Hallway camera faces the dispatch entrance. One deputy approached with a tablet. Chief Turner is on his way. He authorized preservation of station records pending joint review. Cole's face tightened again. The chief is coming here? Yes, Walker said. Because this now touches a federal fugitive investigation and internal station access. Cole looked toward Alicia. You knew this was going to happen when you said people would show up. I knew my team would respond if I missed check-in. You knew they would surround the building. Alicia's eyes narrowed slightly. They did not surround anything. They arrived, secured their vehicles, and waited for instructions. Cole looked through the front windows. The deputy marshals outside were standing near their vehicles, speaking quietly, leaving the entrances open. The image in his mind had been more dramatic than reality. Alicia noticed. You keep turning uncertainty into the version that frightens you most, she said. Cole looked back at her. The sentence landed softly, but deeply. Before he could answer, another deputy entered from the hallway. We reviewed the first camera segment. Walker turned. What did you find? At 8:46, someone entered dispatch. Not Price. Male. Civilian clothing. Staff badge. Alicia's attention sharpened. Can you identify him? The deputy hesitated. Not clearly from that angle. Walker looked toward the hallway. Then nobody leaves the secure area until Chief Turner arrives and we understand who had access. Cole stared at Alicia. So the leak might actually be here. Might, Alicia corrected. Do not make the same mistake twice. He absorbed that in silence. The front doors opened again. Chief Michael Turner stepped into the lobby, removed his coat, and looked first at Walker, then Alicia, then the bulletin pinned behind Cole. Someone tell me why federal marshals are reviewing my station records. Walker pointed toward the timestamp. Turner walked closer, read it once, then again. His expression changed. That was not supposed to be here yet. Alicia met his eyes. Exactly. Turner looked around the room, and suddenly the humiliation Alicia had endured 20 minutes earlier seemed very small compared with the question now sitting at the center of the station. Someone had known too much, too early, and the answer was somewhere inside the building. Chief Turner stood beneath the bulletin board with one hand resting on his hip, studying the timestamp as if the paper had suddenly become evidence against the building itself. Who had access to dispatch Terminal 3 before 9, he asked. The civilian clerk answered carefully. Megan Price was assigned to it, but staff can enter the room with authorized badges. Turner looked at Walker. You have the access logs. Being pulled now. Alicia remained near the front desk, listening to the station settle into a different kind of tension. 20 minutes earlier, every eye had been on her. Now the room seemed afraid to look anywhere for too long. Cole stood beside Lawson, both men quieter than before. Turner turned toward Alicia. Deputy Grant, start from the beginning. Alicia gave him only what mattered. She had entered to confirm a vehicle connected to Caleb Mercer. Cole challenged her credentials. Verification was delayed. She noticed the restricted bulletin had been printed more than an hour before scheduled distribution. She missed her mandatory check-in, triggering the response from Walker's team. Turner listened without interruption. When she finished, he looked at Cole. Did she ask you to verify the badge? Cole nodded. Several times. Did you? No, Chief. Why? Cole hesitated. I thought she might be impersonating federal law enforcement. Turner's expression tightened. What fact supported that? Cole opened his mouth, then stopped. Lawson looked down. Alicia watched Cole search for an answer that was not based on instinct, appearance, or pride. None came. Turner did not rescue him from the silence. We will address that separately, he said. Right now, we find out who accessed that bulletin. A deputy approached Walker holding a tablet. Badge log is ready. Walker took it and read the entries. At 8:45, Price entered dispatch. At 8:46, civilian employee Raymond Pike entered. Price exited at 8:46. Pike remained inside until 8:51. Turner looked up sharply. Pike works property records. Does he have a reason to be in dispatch? Alicia asked. Turner shook his head. Not normally. The deputy continued. Printer job was sent at 8:47 under a shared workstation session. Alicia's eyes narrowed. So the username does not tell us who clicked print? Correct. Camera? Walker asked. Another deputy answered from the hallway. We pulled a clearer angle. Pike is visible entering. He appears to be carrying a phone. At 8:48, he photographs something on the desk. Turner's jaw tightened. Where is he now? The clerk near records looked toward the rear offices. He signed out at 9:05. Alicia checked the wall clock. 9:31. 26 minutes ago. Walker was already reaching for his phone. Get a description and vehicle information to the field team. No assumptions about involvement. We locate first, then verify. Alicia nodded. That mattered. The entire night had been shaped by people deciding before checking. She would not let the investigation repeat the same mistake simply because suspicion had moved to someone else. Cole seemed to understand that too. You are not saying Pike is the leak, he asked. No, Alicia said. We are saying he was in the right room at the wrong time, and a camera shows him photographing something. That gives us facts to investigate. Cole looked at the floor. Different from what I did. Alicia met his eyes. Yes. Turner glanced between them but said nothing. A radio on Walker's belt crackled. One of the deputies outside had located Pike's registered vehicle leaving downtown on Route 27. Walker asked for discreet observation only. No lights. No stop. Turner looked toward the station windows. If Pike is involved, Caleb Mercer may already know the bulletin was compromised. Alicia felt the operation narrowing around them. Then we assume Mercer changes location. Walker nodded. Field teams are already adjusting. Lawson finally spoke. Chief, what happens to us? Turner looked at him. Tonight, you both provide separate written statements. Cole is removed from front desk enforcement duties pending review. You remain on administrative assignment until I know exactly what happened. Cole accepted the words without argument. Alicia noticed that more than anything, the certainty had drained out of him. Not because Marshals had arrived. Not because her badge was real. Because the station itself had become proof of how dangerous it was to treat a first impression like a conclusion. Walker's phone vibrated again. He read the message, then looked at Alicia. Pike just made a call to a number linked to one of Mercer's known associates. The room went silent. Turner looked toward the bulletin. Alicia looked toward Cole. Cole did not look away this time. So you were right, he said. Alicia shook her head. Not yet. Then she looked at Walker. Now we verify the next fact. Walker did not respond to the phone record with satisfaction. He responded with another question. How recent is the call? The deputy checked the screen. Less than 4 minutes ago. Duration was 38 seconds. Alicia looked toward Chief Turner. Can we confirm the number belongs to Mercer's associate without alerting anyone? Turner nodded toward Walker. Your team has the federal side. I will give you whatever local records you need. Walker stepped away to make the request while Alicia remained beside the bulletin board. The paper looked ordinary now, almost harmless, but everything in the station had changed because of it. Cole stood near the front desk, no longer arguing. Lawson was writing notes for his statement. Chief Turner watched Alicia for a moment. You could have embarrassed him when Walker walked in, he said quietly. Alicia looked toward Cole. That would not tell us who leaked the bulletin. That was not what I meant. Alicia understood. She slipped one hand into her coat pocket, feeling the edge of the credential wallet that Cole had mocked less than half an hour earlier. I did not come here to win an argument. Turner nodded slowly. Most people would want the room to know they were right. Being right is useful only if you do something responsible with it. Cole heard that. Alicia could tell because his eyes lifted for a second, then dropped again. Walker returned. The number is confirmed. Registered to Daniel Mercer's cousin, Samuel Mercer, but used repeatedly by Caleb Mercer's known associate, Aaron Pike. Alicia frowned. Pike. Turner looked toward the hallway. Raymond Pike. Walker nodded. Same last name. We are checking family connection now. The coincidence lasted less than a minute. Another deputy entered holding a tablet. Confirmed. Raymond Pike and Aaron Pike are brothers. The room became still. Lawson stopped writing. Cole looked toward Chief Turner. So Raymond had access to the bulletin and a direct family link to one of Caleb's people. Alicia corrected him immediately. He had access, he photographed something, and he called a number used by his brother. That is strong evidence. It is still not the whole story. Cole nodded once. This time, he did not argue. Walker's radio crackled. The surveillance team had followed Raymond Pike to a 24-hour diner near Route 27. He was sitting alone in a booth. No one had approached him. Good, Alicia said. Keep it that way. Walker looked at her. You want to wait? I want to know who he meets. Turner folded his arms. And if he leaves? We follow. And if he realizes? Then we adjust. Alicia glanced at Cole. We do not turn uncertainty into certainty because it feels faster. Cole absorbed the sentence without looking away. Minutes passed. The station settled into controlled silence. The federal vehicles remained outside. Deputies monitored radios. Turner reviewed access logs. Alicia stood near the front windows, watching reflections move across the glass. Then Walker received another update. Someone just entered the diner. Alicia turned. Who? Male, late 30s. Gray jacket. Vehicle registered to Aaron Pike. Turner exhaled slowly. There it is. Alicia held up one hand. Not yet. Walker almost smiled. You really are going to make everyone earn every conclusion tonight. That is the job. The surveillance team watched Raymond slide an envelope across the table. Aaron opened it. Inside were printed photographs and what appeared to be a copy of the restricted bulletin. Walker's expression hardened. Now? Alicia asked. Now we have enough to move. The federal team coordinated quietly. No sirens. No dramatic rush. Within minutes, both men were detained for questioning without incident, and the documents were secured. The evidence trail was finally visible. Back at the station, Chief Turner turned toward Cole and Lawson. Remember this moment. We did not act because Alicia suspected Raymond Pike. We acted when the facts supported it. Cole looked at Alicia. And I did the opposite with you. She held his gaze. Yes. He swallowed. Because I decided what I thought I was seeing before I checked. Yes. There was no cruelty in her answer. That made it harder to escape. Walker approached with the recovered document photographed on his phone. The bulletin copy is marked with this station's printer code. Turner closed his eyes for a second. The leak was real. Alicia looked toward the credential wallet hidden inside her coat. Hours earlier, Cole had treated that badge as the most important question in the room. Now it seemed almost irrelevant. The greater failure had never been that he mocked a federal credential. It was that he had stopped looking for truth the moment his first assumption felt comfortable. Outside, the marshals began pulling away from the station one vehicle at a time. The building was no longer surrounded. It had never truly been surrounded. It had simply been forced, for one uncomfortable night, to face everything it had failed to verify. By 10:15, the station had settled into a silence that felt heavier than the noise from earlier. The last federal vehicle had pulled away from the curb, leaving only Walker's sport utility vehicle and one unmarked sedan outside. Raymond Pike and Aaron Pike were being interviewed at a federal facility across town, the recovered bulletin had been secured, and the digital records from dispatch were preserved for review. Alicia stood near the front desk with a paper cup of coffee she had not touched. Cole sat several feet away, no longer behind the counter, his written statement resting unfinished on his knee. Lawson had already turned in his first account and was answering questions in a separate office. Chief Turner came out of the hallway carrying a thin folder. The printer history confirms the copy came from Dispatch Terminal 3, he said. Camera footage shows Raymond photographing the bulletin less than 2 minutes later. Walker nodded. And his phone records connect him to Aaron. Turner looked at Alicia. Enough for the federal side. Enough to continue building the case, she said. Not enough to assume we know every person involved. Turner gave a tired half-smile. You really do not let anyone skip steps. Alicia looked toward Cole. Skipping steps is how tonight started. Cole lowered his eyes. Turner placed the folder on the desk. Internal Affairs will review the credential incident separately from the leak investigation. Different facts. Different questions. Alicia appreciated that distinction. Cole finally spoke. Chief, I want to say something before this becomes paperwork. Turner looked at him. Then say it carefully. Cole turned toward Alicia. The confidence that had filled his voice earlier was gone. I thought you were lying. Alicia waited. I looked at the badge, looked at you, and decided something did not fit. He paused. Then every answer you gave me sounded like another reason I was right. Alicia held his gaze. Because you were checking my answers against your conclusion instead of checking your conclusion against the facts. Cole nodded slowly. Yes. The word came without defense. And Brett went along with me because I sounded certain. He still had responsibility for his own choices. I know. Cole looked toward the empty bulletin board where the restricted notice had been removed and bagged as evidence. The part one cannot get past is that when we suspected Raymond Pike, you kept telling everyone to slow down. Even after the phone call. Even after the camera. Alicia set the untouched coffee on the counter. Because suspicion is supposed to open an investigation, not close one. Cole absorbed that. Quietly. I did not give you that. No, he looked at her credential wallet, now safely inside her coat. I mocked your badge. Alicia's expression did not change. The badge was not the worst part. Cole looked confused. What was? You had a working telephone, an official verification system, a supervisor available, and another officer telling you to check. You had tools designed to protect you from being wrong. You chose certainty instead. Cole looked down again. Turner let the silence remain. No one rushed to make it comfortable. Walker's phone vibrated. He read the message, then stepped closer. Update from the field team. Caleb Mercer changed locations after Aaron Pike received the bulletin, but he did not disappear. They picked up a new vehicle associated with him outside a motel 40 miles north. Alicia's focus sharpened immediately. Does he know Raymond and Aaron are being interviewed? No indication yet. Then keep the operation quiet. Do not rush the arrest because we finally have movement. Walker nodded. Agreed. Turner looked at her. After everything tonight, you are going back out. Alicia picked up her coffee. The fugitive did not stop being a fugitive because someone laughed at my credentials. Cole looked at her with something different now. Not admiration exactly. Recognition. Deputy Grant. Alicia stopped before reaching the door. I am sorry. She looked back at him. The station clock read 10:21. Just over an hour had passed since he told her the badge was fake. What happens next is more important than what you say tonight, she replied. Cole nodded. Alicia stepped toward the exit with Walker beside her. Behind them, Turner began collecting statements for internal affairs. Lawson remained in the interview room. Cole sat alone beneath the fluorescent lights, staring at the desk where Alicia's badge had once rested like a joke. Outside, the night air was cool and still. Walker opened the passenger door of the federal vehicle. You all right? Alicia looked back through the station windows. I will be. Then she turned toward the road north. The leak had been found. The fugitive was moving. And for the first time that night, everyone involved understood that accountability was not about proving who had more authority. It was about what people did after the truth gave them another chance to choose correctly. The field team found Caleb Mercer before midnight, not because anyone rushed, but because Alicia insisted they keep following the facts. His new vehicle was traced to a motel 40 miles north, and the surveillance team confirmed his identity before moving forward. By the next morning, the fugitive operation was back under control, Raymond Pike's access history had been secured, and Aaron Pike's connection to the leaked bulletin was documented through phone records and recovered copies. The case widened, but it did not fall apart. That mattered to Alicia more than anything that had happened inside the station. A week later, Chief Turner completed the first phase of the internal review. Lawson received a formal reprimand and additional supervisory training for failing to challenge Cole sooner. Cole was removed from front-facing enforcement duties while the department reviewed his conduct, including his refusal to verify Alicia's credentials after being given multiple opportunities. The decision was administrative, not theatrical. No one stood in a hallway cheering. No one needed to. Alicia returned to the station 2 weeks later for a joint briefing on the fugitive case. The lobby looked different in daylight. The bulletin board had been cleared and replaced with a new access control notice. The desk where a credential wallet had been mocked was covered with ordinary paperwork. Cole was not behind it. Lawson was there, quieter than before, and when Alicia entered, he simply nodded. Chief Turner met her near the conference room. We changed the verification procedure, he said. Any questionable federal credential now gets confirmed through the official contact system immediately, before anyone turns suspicion into accusation. Alicia looked toward the front desk. Good. Turner studied her for a moment. That is all you are going to say. It is what should have happened the first time. Inside the briefing room, James Walker reviewed the final operation timeline. Caleb Mercer had been taken into federal custody after investigators confirmed his location and protected the remaining evidence. Raymond Pike was under investigation for unauthorized access and disclosure of restricted information. The leak had been contained. The fugitive had been found. The system had worked eventually, but only after several people were forced to confront how easily confidence could pretend to be certainty. At the end of the meeting, Cole appeared in the doorway. He wore plain clothes instead of a patrol uniform. Alicia looked at him but said nothing. He stepped inside slowly. "Deputy Grant, may I say something?" She nodded. Cole took a breath. "I kept thinking the mistake was that I did not recognize your badge." "It was not." Alicia waited. "The mistake was that I decided who you were before I checked anything." The room stayed quiet. Cole continued. "And when the facts started contradicting me, I treated that like a challenge instead of information." Alicia looked at him steadily. "That is closer to the truth." Cole nodded. "I am sorry." Alicia did not smile. She did not punish him either. "Then make the next decision better." He lowered his eyes, then stepped back from the doorway. When the briefing ended, Alicia walked through the lobby alone. Morning light fell across the floor where she had sat beneath the clock waiting for 9:20. She stopped near the front desk and took out her credential wallet. For a second, the federal seal caught the light. Then she closed it and returned it to her coat. The badge had never been the lesson. The lesson was that authority does not make truth true, and embarrassment does not make doubt justified. A person should not have to prove they hold more power before their words deserve verification. Alicia pushed open the station door and stepped into the cold morning air. Behind her, the building returned to ordinary work, but not exactly as it had been before. Procedures had changed. Records had changed. People had changed. And somewhere inside, one officer had finally learned that being certain and being correct were never the same thing. If you had been standing in that station that night, watching someone refuse every easy chance to verify the truth, when would you have spoken up, and would you have had the courage to admit you were wrong before the consequences arrived?